To the Comic Con of Budapest. It was my first one. I only seen it in the Penny series and such things, so I barely had any idea what is going on there. Well, people were there, a lot of them. It was books, comic books, surprisingly not that much amount of figurines, although a bunch of people put out their, masterworks and all that kind of stuff. A full model of the Game of Thrones intro castle and a bunch of Star Wars stuff. There were a bunch of video games to play, but why would I just no, I didn't bother with that part. If I sit down, I will spend there a day or something. Then that would be, just not fair for the other people. But sometimes I saw people who sat there and they had little kids there, like 5 years old maybe, and when daddy made something to, pass some obstacle, blew up some Minecraft rock or something sad, or and they, you did it. It was absolutely adorable. But the other part, it was like maybe at most 1 to 20 that people were in costumes, but that was healthy. That was enough. That was fine. You constantly saw people in costume, but it was not, just a big furry convention or something like that. And it was just fun. And there were, you know, I expected, but it was still something but weird that men dressed for female characters, women dressed as male characters with birds, full on, like wig birds. I don't know, fake birds, that kind of stuff. That was one part, but what really got me that some people are just really talented with this shit. Uh, Such mm, small parts on top of it's a lot of small parts. They really spend time with it, and there was some young woman, maybe teenager, who was in a full golden suit. That was that was something, and there was the cosplayers, the official ones who did the competition. Some of them were very, just whatever, buy in the shop or something like that. But some really spent money on it. Uh, They won, obviously, but those who won, they actually practiced their movement to bring the character to the show. Uh, what I was a bit disappointed, there was a guy who made from the Pirates of the Caribbean, the Davy Jones, the octopus head. He made a full costume of that. It wasn't the highest grade materials, but that was still looked perfectly okay. And considering it was made probably on a reasonable budget, not on a pro budget, it was very original, and it was very, very well made. But the real extreme part was not just the stuff that was there, and you know, you pay for an autograph or a picture with someone, but they had talks with these people also, so you could sneak in your own photo when they were on the podium, and the the organizers, the staff just said, sure, whatever, even if they saw, they didn't bother. It was a really good, crowd. There were some Game of Thrones people that didn't really care, but there was Tilk from Stargate. Turns out he also plays the guy in God of War, the protagonist guy, the painted face barbarian who becomes the God of War. That was, but I was happy that he was there, because, and there was Evan Lynch from Harry Potter. Actually, I prefer her for compared to the main trio. Because the guy who played Harry Potter is just, sure, he's the big name. The Hermione Granger is not that good. Let's be honest, her career is going to the dumpster fire, and the the ginger guy, the Rupert Grint, is just, he tries to be an actor, but he's not very successful. While Evan Lynch, who had a very tiny part, but she was memorable, and she built a career out of that role. That it could have been really just a one-off gig for her, but she made a career out of it. She does some, work for an organization. She even wrote a book. I brought it up when I got for the autograph part, and she, what book? It was a bunch of people there, and it took really long, and it was the end of the day, and I guess she was really just tired out of her mind, but she was always smiling. You saw the tiredness when people just went away, but when the next one stepped there, she lighted up and, come, I'm happy that you are here. I'm happy that you are happy that, and so on and so on. And there was that Fukushima girl who was in what's that, Suicide Squad, and a couple of other things and others. It was fun to go there once. It's really not something I would do yearly. Maybe in 5 years I might do one more, but it's really really tiring experience, and I always had something to do. I started to eat in one of the you know talks, and the people looking at me, and their saliva just from their mouth. It was funny, but I really had nothing to drink because they limit, because so you spend money on that. That was painful, and the transportation. Supposedly the local transportation sent in extra buses, but they really wasn't enough. It was a shit show. But otherwise, oh yeah. This is what I was wanting to bring up. You know, there were people who dressed up, and there was even a whole family who dressed up. Everyone was there, granny to the little kids. That was adorable. But the real thing, and no one talks about this, and no one shows you. And I didn't even make a picture of it, unfortunately, or fortunately. I just didn't. One was a pair of samurai. The woman was in some clothes and woman mask, and by the way, let's call them samurai. But the other one was a samurai with the devil mask and all that. And they were just. I bumped into them a couple of times while I was there, and they never talked to anybody. They just walked around in their gear. And they were like 60. They were grandparent age. I loved it. It was absolutely nothing I expected. But sure. And the other one, it was, those anime girls. They look like they are just rubbed in, the case thing, the emergency textile thing, bandage, yeah. And the woman was 50. I'm not joking. She was 50 and was there in that bandage anime suit. And you could see everything. I mean, the legs. She were closer, so she knew what she's doing. But she was like 50. Or, the orange skin and all that. But that was she. And she went there. This was the time of the year. And no one even thought about it. Obvious reason why I didn't make a picture, because that's kind of schluty uniform. But I was thinking, would I dare to do this? Because this is not wrong. This is why Comic-Con and all these exist. It's a memory. That's sure. And there was all the Hungarian people, some Asian people who spoke only Asian, and there was, a bunch of foreigners, German and Slovenian and all that kind of stuff. And it was like a big party where everybody is not sure if they belong there, but everybody want to be there. It was an experience of a lifetime. But my leg is really aching. Wait a second, I show you. Yeah, she's a bit older than this photo, but from far away she looks like a granny. I don't know if she has kids or anything, but she was really a game. Uh, And when I brought up, she wrote a book because she dates. It's something about not like butterflies. The weird title sounds technical, written to, actors and filmmakers and all that kind of jazz. I think she was just tired. It was like out of the blue. Everyone was there talking about just her role in Harry Potter. But she was game. She oh yeah. She eventually clicked. Maybe I should just cut this last part out.